Sure.
Yeah, she's a good gal. She's a good gal. I did not know that.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with this. You guys are eating your lunch, enjoying your pizza. Hope you like it. It's from Wise Guys from across the street. My favorite pizza in town, so please go there, spend money there. They're fantastic company. So thanks everybody for coming. Who's here first time WideNet? You? Cool, awesome. That's what we like. We like new people. Well, we do this monthly. If you sign up in the back, we'll put your name on an email list. So you get an alert every time that we're doing one of these. If you didn't get one for this time, and like it says, today we're going to be talking about what social media platform is best for your business. There's a lot of them out there. Social media is very important in this day and age, and a lot of people, the biggest question is, which one am I supposed to be using? Which one is best for me? That's what we're going to talk about. And one thing to note, though, I know we're talking about best for your business, but really this also applies to nonprofits, for churches, for anything like that where you have an audience, and that's what it's all about. There's a lot of information here to cover. We're going to go through it fairly quickly so that you guys can so you're not here forever to get back to work or wherever you need to go. And then at the end we'll open up for questions. So if you have holding questions, so we get to the very end, and we'll answer as many of those as we can. So get started. So should you be using social media? Yes. You absolutely should. It's very important that you use social media in this day and age. It's no longer a novelty thing anymore. It's something that's very important to the way that we interact with one another, not just online, but in real life. We talk about it all the time. Hey, did you see my Facebook post? Did you get my tweet? Did you see my Instagram picture? All that stuff. Very important to our daily lives these days. 78% of Americans have a social media profile of some sort. For context, that's 248 million people in this country that are on social media. Globally, 2.3 billion people total. Here's some of the numbers from that. Facebook has 1 billion users globally. Twitter, 320 million. Snapchat, 100 million. Instagram, 400 million. LinkedIn, 300 million. And Pinterest, 100 million. So there's a lot of people. And each one of these is growing every single day. More and more people. So standing here right now, people are creating new profiles for each one of these social media platforms as we speak. And the users range among every single demographic. So there is no one group of people that's on social media in general. It's everybody from 13-year-olds to 75-year-olds, men and women, people of all different kinds of incomes, nationalities, everything. Everybody is on social media. So just a quick short history of social media. Prior to 2002, you had your blogs and your chat rooms and your dating websites. Remember getting the AOL CD and loading it, make a little profile, go to the chat rooms, all that kind of stuff. That was sort of the precursor to what we know as social media today. Between 2002 and 2004, you had Friendster, MySpace, LinkedIn, and the Facebook. As it's written there, that's what it was back before it went public. These were all very strictly friend-focused. There was no real business potential looked into them yet. I mean, that was all just connecting with friends, connecting with former classmates. I think there was another one of the early ones was classmates.com from way early 2000s, where you could connect with people you went to school with years ago. In 2006, that's when things sort of started making a turn as far as the popularity of social media. Facebook went public. When it was originally created, it was just for campuses and college students to connect with people around campus. Now then it went public, so anyone could use it. Gary Vaynerchuk discovered YouTube. If you don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, he is pretty much the guy that did all of this before anybody else did. He is one of the most brilliant minds when it comes to marketing, social media, all that kind of stuff. He was the first person to discover the marketing potential in YouTube and started doing YouTube videos for his company back right when it came out, when no one else was doing it. Started off with 2 users. He's a millionaire, almost billionaire these days. And then Twitter launched in 2006. 2007, Facebook launched its brand pages. So you got your, nowadays we have our business pages in your groups, but Facebook launched brand pages for different companies and brands that have a Facebook presence, and a new platform which allowed outside developers to start creating apps to be integrated into Facebook, opening up to a whole new world of possibilities. Think Farmville, think Candy Crush, all those games you can do, and then ton of apps that you use these days that you can get on your smartphone that have to do with cameras or demographics or anything like that that you can integrate into Facebook. That's because their platform is open, so people can develop things for that. This put Facebook ahead of pretty much every other social media platform, and we're going to talk about why in a minute. 2010, what we call a shift. Because in 2010, that's when people started really recognizing that, hey, the social media thing isn't just for fun anymore. It's not just something that my kids use. This has real business potential. 2010, Facebook launched their Facebook ads to compete with Google AdWords. Instagram and Pinterest launched. And this is when brands just suddenly started to get it. All the marketing potential for Facebook and Twitter, all these things were just suddenly realized. People started to realize they could sell, they could increase brand awareness. And that's when we really started to have a shift into what a lot of what we talk about with digital marketing these days is using social media for business. So what makes social media so powerful? First off, it gives a direct line between the business and the consumer. It breaks down any kind of barricade or barrier that ever existed before between the CEO and the regular buyer. We've talked about this a lot. If you've ever come to a WideNet youth class in the past, we've talked about this, about how it just creates so much transparency between businesses and the consumers. Opens it up for crisis response. If you have, a problem, you can address it directly on social media. It makes businesses more vulnerable. This kind of goes into the crisis and transparency thing. Comments, viral posts, screenshots. Customers have all the power again. I'm sure you've seen it in the news if you keep up with what's going on. You've seen how damaging one disgruntled customer's screenshot can be to a business, because that goes by, they get mistreated by a business, it goes viral. It's like, what the guy Gary Vaynerchuk we were talking about, something he talks about is back in the old days, before you had a lot of the big businesses in town and everything was very hyper-localized, if the butcher, made a local mother angry because of his business, she would go to the PTA meeting, and then everyone in town would not use that butcher anymore. It would ruin the butcher. And all these big businesses came in, that kind of went away, and now that we have social media and the internet the way it is these days, that power has come back to the consumer. If you do somebody wrong on social media, they can blast you about it, and it can be damaging. Audience targeting, so much information involved with being on social media, so much information on the profiles that people put in. You can use that information to target ads, target messages to your specific audience or to a specific demographic of people. Social listening, you can use it to know what people are saying about your brand. You can monitor social media websites. You can use search terms. You can use different kind of apps to figure out if people are talking about you, what they're saying about you. Are they being favorable? Are they being negative? You can use all that information to benefit your business. So which platform is right for you? Could be all of them. Could be just one. These are the things you want to consider when it comes to using a social media platform. Your audience and your customer demographics. Who are you directing your message to? Who are you selling to? Who are the people that you're trying to attract to your business? The type of business that you own. Are you a product or you offer a service? These things make a big difference, or can make a big difference in the social media that you decide to use. Internal constraints, your time, the amount of the people that you have in business that you can dedicate to it. Social media is not something you just kind of set and forget. It's something you have to use often. So you need to know what your abilities are internally. And then your marketing goals. Do you want to use social media to sell or advertise your products? Do you want to use it to increase brand awareness? Do you want to use it to manage your relationships with your audience that you already have? And all these things can be used for that. These are the platforms we're going to go over today. Facebook, we kind of call the Swiss Army knife of social media platforms because it can do so much. Facebook really encompasses everything. You can do photo, you can do video, you can do long form and short form text posts. It's the most versatile platform out there. Twitter, if everyone's familiar with Twitter, short 140 character messages, just really quick text messages that you can send in. Instagram is a photo video sharing site. YouTube, video platform. LinkedIn, great for networking for businesses. Pinterest, a very niche market kind of photo sharing thing. And then Snapchat, which is the newer one on this list, is a real-time and finite video sharing. Call it finite because when you send videos and pictures on Snapchat, they go away. Eventually you can't say, well, you can screenshot them. But other than that, they're not stored anywhere. They go away. So, Facebook. 1 billion users worldwide. That's 72% of adult internet users. Let me say, when we talk about what social media platform is right for you, again, all those things we talked about, you're going to want to consider. What we're going to go over here is the demographics and the best uses for it, and that way you can decide: is this going to work for my business? Are my demographic, is it on Facebook? Do I want to target these particular people that are on this social media site? But 1 billion people worldwide on Facebook. It is the most popular social media platform out there today. The best use is pretty much for everything. You can use Facebook for everything. You can use it for brand awareness. You can use it for sales, and you can use it to get leads to the ads. It's like I said, it's the most versatile platform. You got your text, your video, your image, and your live video. We're doing live video right now. It's one of the newer functions on Facebook. You can pull it up and you can stream live, and anyone who follows your Facebook page can watch that. It has a very affordable and effective advertising platform. We call them passive ads because unlike Google AdWords, they're not as direct. People on Facebook aren't there to try, they're not searching for something to buy, and so with your passive ads, you're more or less just sort of kind of giving them an idea as they're scrolling through their Facebook feed. Multiple advertising options. They probably have the most dynamic advertising platform out of anywhere else online right now, because they have ads for lead generation, they have ads to send people to a website, they have ads to get them to do something on your website, they have ads to get people to download your app, visit a specific page, multiple different options. It's highly targeted, so when you create an ad, you can direct it towards a very specific group of people. Since you put so much information on Facebook, we've talked about this in some of our past WideNet use. If you want to direct your ad towards only 35-year-old men who live in Saks, you can do that. You can specifically type that out, and it will direct those ads just to Facebook users who are 35 years old, men, and live in Saks. And you can also create a custom audience via tracking pixel. Facebook will give you a snippet of code that you can put onto your website, and it will track all the people coming to your website, and then you can use that audience. It gets all their demographics, or at least what's available, and then you can use that audience on your Facebook to target the type of people or the people that are coming to your website with that code. Some of the demographics on Facebook, as we talked about, it's highly diverse. Pretty much everybody's on Facebook. 89% of internet users ages 18 to 29. That means everybody ages 18 to 29 that's on the internet, 89% of them have a Facebook profile. 77% of internet users are ages 30 to 49. 64% ages 50 to 64. 65 plus is the fastest growing demographic. Ages 25 to 34 is the most common age demographic. Now, that's something that's really important to understand. Right now, people ages 25 to 34 are the most common demographic on Facebook. That's the main audience on Facebook. But people 65 and older are the fastest growing. They are increasing in number on Facebook faster than any other age demographic right now. 77% of female internet users, that's all women that are online, 77% of them have a Facebook page. 68% of all male internet users are on there. 78% of internet users with an income of $75,000 or more. We put that on there because it just shows how versatile we're talking about when it comes to an audience. You've got people, like I said, of all different income levels, all different ages, genders, everything. Moving on to Twitter. 310 active monthly users on Twitter. Extremely mobile. 80% of everyone that uses Twitter uses it on their phone now. Didn't always used to be like that, but since they've released the app and we've gotten into this very mobile world that we live in, 80% of the people on Twitter are using it through their phone. The best use for customer services and brand awareness. Twitter is excellent if you want to address customer service issues. Remember at the beginning we talked about that whole crisis management. Touch on that just for a second, or addressing those issues like that. Twitter is great for that kind of thing, and also brand awareness. So I'm going to go through some really interesting engagement stats right here. Companies who use Twitter for customer services see a 19% lift in customer satisfaction. 77% of Twitter users feel more positive about a brand when their tweet has been replied to, which means that if they tweet, WideNet, if someone tweets WideNet and we respond to them as WideNet, they're going to feel, 77% of them are going to feel better about us. And the reason they do that is it goes back to what we said about breaking down those barriers between the business and the consumer. It takes away any of that, any obstacle that might have happened in it. It makes them feel very special. This business, this company, actually took the time to respond to me. I like that. That's why it improves brand awareness so much. 54% of users said they have taken action after seeing a brand mentioned in tweets. 80% of Twitter users have mentioned a brand in their tweets. 50% shop at the website or store of the small businesses they follow. and 60% have bought something because they saw it on Twitter. So those are really important. So we talk about brand awareness and brand engagement. Twitter is really big for that kind of thing. Demographics of Twitter, 37% of Twitter users are ages 18 to 29, 25% of Twitter users are ages 30 to 49, so we've got a really big chunk there, kind of like Facebook from 18 to 49. 15% of all female internet users are on Twitter, and 22% of all male internet users are on Twitter. Now, the thing about it is that you have to use it daily and you have to use it often. With Facebook, you can post something, monitor it a little bit, look at the engagement, see how it works. If you don't post as often, that post is going to stay right there at the top of your page. It's not going to go anywhere. Twitter is a bit different. Twitter is, for those of you who have ever used it, how many people have in here use Twitter or have no familiar with it? When you log on to Twitter, all the people that you follow, you're just going to get this big news feed of all their tweets, and it's just constantly updating one after the other. So it's like a river of information. So if you're going to use Twitter, you have to stay constantly engaged with it. So it's not something you can just tweet once a week and kind of walk away. If you really want to be effective with it, you need to be on it, tweeting, and engaging with people. So when people tweet at you, when they respond to something that you put out there, if they retweet something, if they share something, or if they like something, you need to respond to them, hey, thanks, or thanks for sharing, glad you liked it. Talk to those people. It's all about engagement with Twitter. That's the big thing here. And respond as much as possible. You don't have to respond to everything, but as much as you possibly can. So Instagram, 400 million monthly users. Instagram is one of the more faster growing social media platforms out there these days. Photo and video sharing website, so it's not unlike Twitter and Facebook where it's a lot of text. Instagram is mostly photos, videos, take it with the app, post it on to your profile. 80 million photos are shared every single day. And you can also create graphics and images too and share those as well, memes, things like that. The best uses for brand awareness and product advertising. So everyone here, so who's not familiar with the way Instagram works completely? Everyone kind of get the gist of it. You just, like I said, you take the picture, you post it onto a feed, and people can see it. The brand awareness, product advertising, the engagement on Instagram is ridiculous. We just talked about how good the engagement is on Twitter. It's 120% times higher on Instagram. Instagram users are 2.5 times more likely to click on ads than any other site. So if you're running Instagram ads, you have a higher chance of someone clicking on that ad than they do on Facebook, Google, Twitter, anything like that. And the reason that it's so powerful is because video content and visual content is easier to digest, decipher, and understand. We process, our brains process images, I think it's like 60,000 times faster than it does text. So when you see a picture of something, you just kind of automatically understand what's going on there, whereas with text, you have to read it again, understand it, depending on how it's written, that kind of thing. The demographics of Instagram, you have a larger share of younger users of Instagram. So if your audience are people ages 18 to 29 or 18 to 25, Instagram is definitely something that you want to consider using. 53%, 18 to 29, 25%, 30 to 49. 17% are ages 50 plus. So not a lot of older demographics. But 49% of users are female, 51% of users are male. It's very, very split down the middle there. Like Twitter, you need to use it daily. Engage and reply as much as possible. That's a common theme with some of these, like Twitter and Instagram. Stay engaged always. You can connect it to your Facebook business page, which gives you audience and interaction analytics, and it gives you the ability to contact the business directly. This is new, a new feature for Instagram. But for those of you who are unaware, I think it was 2010, Facebook purchased Instagram for about $1 billion, and so they own it. And so there's a lot of back and forth between Instagram and Facebook, a lot of correlation and integration that you can use there. If you run Facebook ads and have an Instagram account connected to your Facebook page, it will automatically run ads on Facebook for you, so you don't have to worry about trying to do both, and it will gather all those demographics. But when you connect it to your Facebook page, you can see who's looking at your post on all the demographics on Instagram, who's looking at your post, who's sharing it, who they are, their ages, all the deep insights you get with Facebook, you can also get with Instagram now. So that's very important to understand. YouTube, 215 million monthly users, 1 billion users total. Usage is growing thanks to increasing video marketing. Video is becoming really, really, really big these days. I mean, hence the reason that we're streaming it live on Facebook right now. All the new social media apps and platforms that are coming out are focused on video. It's the second most used search engine next to Google. That means when people are looking for something, they want to answer to something, they go to YouTube, they search for it, see if there's a video for it. Best use, anything you can do with a video. Tutorials and how-to videos is probably one of the best things a business can do with it. Especially if you're a OACC, I'll do some stuff like that. You show people how to put in some of their carpet. So if you have something that needs to be, if your product is something that needs to be put together, or something that needs to be built, or anything like that installed, using YouTube to put those how-to and tutorials on there is a really, really good use of it. That really builds a lot of brand awareness and brand trust because they like that. They like that you're showing them how to do it. Blog and video podcast, you can use it for that. Product reviews and reveals, a lot of people will, and this is a growing trend with some businesses, they're revealing new products just on YouTube. Any new product they're pumping out, especially tech companies, if they're coming out with a new, whatever the new product is, camera or phone or whatever, they're doing their reveals and they're reviewing it just on YouTube. You can share and embed across multiple platforms, so you can use, you can make a YouTube video, put it on your YouTube account, and then take the code and put it on your Facebook. You can put it onto your website, and so share it across multiple entities. And then again, brand awareness and trust. People really like that, especially with the tutorials and the how-to videos. Demographics, a large chunk of millennials are on YouTube. 41 million users ages 25 to 34. This is probably the biggest one I can had. YouTube reaches more 18 to 49-year-olds than any cable network in the country. So ABC, all this stuff, YouTube is reaching them more than anybody on cable, which means that if you're spending money on television commercials, you might want to think about putting those commercials on YouTube instead, because that's where it's getting. 46% female, 54% male, another nice even split. You must have video capabilities to use YouTube, obviously. This can be a smartphone, a GoPro, Bluetooth, digital camera, anything that you have that can connect, that can take video, you have to have that, obviously. It's really important to understand you do not have to create this Hollywood production style video. You don't have to do that. As a matter of fact, low quality stuff, not too low quality, mind you, but for right now, what we're streaming on Facebook right now isn't, it's not like we're sitting here on a soundstage or something. It's just like a regular video on Facebook. But when you have that lower quality stuff, it can sometimes make you look a lot more authentic than people realize. It doesn't look like it's overproduced. It looks like it makes you, again, transparency, brand awareness, brand trust, reminds people that there's a real person behind that camera, that the corporation or the business itself, there's actual people running it. It reminds consumers about that. That's what's really important. LinkedIn. This is personally my least favorite, but that's because it's interesting. It's different than other social media platforms. 35 million monthly users, not as many as the other ones. 400 million total users. But this is really, really powerful for B2B networking. Facebook, really good for B2C, business to consumer networking. We're talking about leads. We're talking about selling a product, although it may take a little bit longer. B2B on Facebook, possible. If you're a B2B business, I would absolutely suggest you have Facebook. But when it comes to advertising and engagement and things like that, it's a little bit slower on B2B. Unlike LinkedIn, this is probably the best B2B social media site out there. And one of the main reasons for that is because you have all these people that are on LinkedIn that you don't always find on Facebook. You find your CEOs or your commercial real estate brokers or niche industrial companies or people who are managers, supervisors, top tier people in other businesses that you're not going to find messing around on Facebook. They're on LinkedIn. Really good for salespeople and consultants if that's something that you do. If your company has salespeople or if you're some sort of consulting company, this is really, really good, again, because you're getting to those decision makers on LinkedIn as long as you're using it properly. It's also a good way to find employees. There's the joke that most people use LinkedIn to find a job, which is kind of true. You can put your entire resume on there. It will, you can tell LinkedIn what kind of jobs you're looking for, and it will send you job updates whenever there's something that fits your profile. So if you're looking for new employees, you can use LinkedIn to do that. Demographics continue. This has got older users than other sites. This has a older demographic than any other site. As a matter of fact, it's the only social media site so far that has more older users than the younger users. 23% are on there, only 18 to 29, 31% 30 to 49, 30% 50 to 64, and then 21% age to 65 plus. LinkedIn has the largest share of 65 plus users than any social site other than Facebook. And then another good, most of these profiles, you got a good split between female and male. And then very different incomes. You got 75% of people on there are making over $50,000 or more. 44% are making over $75,000 or more. Pinterest. Anybody here use Pinterest? Females, of course I do. We're gonna get into that. Pinterest is, I don't use it. My wife loves it. But it's got a lot. I've been doing more research on it recently. It's got a lot of marketing and business potential. Probably one of the most undervalued social media sites for businesses because, again, it has that stigma that it's just a craft site for women. That's not true. It's not true, but it's also not totally true. 100 million daily users on Pinterest. Another with Instagram. Instagram and Pinterest are the two fastest growing social media platforms out there right now. 75% of usage is on a mobile phone. And we talk about these things being on a mobile phone too, because that's really important to understand. Because when it comes to your marketing and to your messages, you have to realize that if someone's reading it on a phone, then you're going to have to adjust the way that it looks, what you say, everything about that. So it's really important that we understand that a lot of everything that we're doing is switching over to mobile, and a lot of social media usage is being done on mobile phones. People on Pinterest are 10% more likely to purchase from an e-commerce site than any other social media site. 1/3 of Pinterest users prefer Pinterest over Google search, and the best uses are advertised products and, again, sort of like a how-to tutorial kind of thing. The advertising product thing, one of the things that Pinterest has been described as is a virtual storefront. Especially if you own a store, and any of these designers, restaurants, lifestyle publications, wedding and event planners, e-commerce sites, hobby and craft-based businesses. Pinterest is very focused on things, very good for things like this, especially with the whole lifestyle attitude of things. You know, people talk about Pinterest being a place for craft ideas, for recipes, things like that. If you sell customized gifts, trinkets, items, or something like that, put them on Pinterest. They need to be there. If you do any kind of design work, graphic design, event planning, floral design, every time you do something, take a picture of it, put it on Pinterest. It's really good for that kind of thing. Demographics, even spread among ages. There's no real dominating age demographic here. Everyone from 18 to 64 is pretty even split, but very high rate of female users. 85% of Pinterest users are female. So if you have a high female audience, you definitely want to be using Pinterest. Admitted male usage is growing, however. Since 2014, more men are using Pinterest than read Sports Illustrated or GQ combined. That's a pretty big deal. I mean, those are two major publications geared towards men. Some of that might have to do with the fact that print and magazine has kind of seen a downslide of the past few years, but still. When it comes to these lifestyle type things, Sports Illustrated, GQ, Field and Stream, all those kind of things, Pinterest is beating out these publications, and that's another really important thing to understand. Snapchat. This is the newest one. Anybody knows Chris knows that he uses it a lot. I get snaps from Chris just sitting at my desk at work. Anyone not know how Snapchat works? Everybody kind of got the idea of how Snapchat is? Basically, it's a mobile app, mobile only. You take pictures or videos, and you can send them to people that you're connected with, and it pops up for about 8 seconds, and then it goes away, and that's it. The marketing potential for this took a little bit of time for people to understand, but it's recently become a really big deal with a lot of marketers. 100 million daily active users. And I'll mention something about this. Everything we've been saying so far, we've talked either 35 million monthly users, 100 million total users. This is 100 million daily users. That's a big difference in what we've been talking about so far. It's 100 million people per day, not per month or overall, but per day are on this app. 7 billion videos are viewed every single day. 76% of Snapchat users purchase products online, so pretty much everyone that uses Snapchat is going to e-commerce sites. They're purchasing online instead of going to a storefront. And again, like we said, it's mobile only. Snapchat can only be used through the app that you can download. Best uses, brand awareness, and news. It's extremely personal. Snapchat is extremely personal because it's, if I'm not mistaken, right now one of the main things you can do with it is just like individual usage. I mean, you can do brands and stuff, but it's the main thing people use it for is they do their own little profile. It's great for sharing headlines and news updates. We've got people, again, I think one of the things Chris talks about is he consumes most of his news these days from Snapchat, rather than getting online or getting on or reading newspaper, you get on Snapchat, you slide over, you see CNN, ESPN, all these portals. You click on it, and it's got headlines and news bits popping up. And it's just like a quick rundown of what's going on, which is also really good because we are growing increasingly not impatient, and I guess you could say impatient, but we want things faster, we want them quicker, we want them more compact so we can get them, understand them, and then move along to the next thing. That's something that Snapchat offers that a lot of other places aren't offering right now. And it's good for transparency. If you're a business owner, it's a really good way for you to kind of show what's going on behind the scenes in a real-time kind of way if you want to. Demographics. Almost half the users are under age 25. So right now, Snapchat is really, really popular with younger users. So if you have a younger demographic, definitely want to be looking at Snapchat. 46% of the people, or 45% of people, are ages 13 to 24. 26% are ages 25 to 34. 13% are 35 to 44. Above that, it just about bottoms out completely. 70% are female, 30% are male. Millennials account for 7 out of 10 Snapchat users. So again, and you're gonna, if you keep up with any kind of marketing publication, you listen to things that we say, if you any of that kind of stuff, you're gonna know that a lot of people right now are talking about how it's time to turn your attention towards the millennials. They're the ones, my age groups, we're the ones that are getting out there into the workforce. You know, the largest share of the employee population, the largest share of the voting population. We are quickly becoming the largest share of the entrepreneurs out there these days. So if you're not turning your marketing towards millennials, unless you have a really, really good reason not to, something you really need to start doing is focusing on that and learning how they think, how they interact, and what they do. And this is really important. This is why we talk about social media, because millennials, as you can tell from all the demographics we've talked about, they're on social media. And the impact of Snapchat is really big because Instagram, I don't know if anyone keeps up with this, Instagram just released something called Stories. One of the things you can do on Snapchat is you create stories, which is a string of different videos and photos that you have taken over the course of a certain amount of time. And people click on your story, and they can click through. And they're all individually, you can all view it all for 7-8 seconds apiece, but it strings them all together in sort of a timeline kind of thing. A lot of people are using this to sort of show what's going on throughout the day, or what, maybe an event. So if they're at an event or something like that, they can kind of show what's happening at individual times in the event. Instagram just released something that was the exact same thing, Instagram Stories. You put a string of stories together, a string of pictures, videos together, and it pops up at the top of your profile, and you can click on it, and it goes away after 24 hours. And that's it. So that kind of shows you sort of the impact that Snapchat is having, and people are starting to really pay attention to it. People are starting to take some of the ideas from it and implement it themselves. Instagram, I think, had a really big win by doing this because something Chris and I were talking about earlier today. Snapchat is a individual user. You have to build your user one at a time, whereas with Instagram, if you already have 300, 400 followers on Instagram already, you do the story thing, and they all get to see it immediately. So it kind of jumpstarts the whole thing. So it's really, really powerful. So, confused, overwhelmed, I know I went over that really, really fast because, like I said, there's a lot of information that has to be covered. Keep in mind that when we talk about what social media website is best for your business, what we mean is, again, what is your audience? What is your demographic? Who are the people that you're trying to reach out to? Secondly, what is it that you want to do? What is it your main thing you want to do? You may not always need to be focused on, or you may want to focus more on brand awareness than sales. You know, your sales might be through the roof. They might be great. Whatever you're doing for sales might be working, but you want to get out there more. You want to have people know more about your brand. You can use it for that. We have to remember that social media isn't just about selling products all the time or selling services all the time. I know we think about that in terms of when it comes to marketing, it's, and advertising, it's, you present a message, the consumer reads the message, and they immediately go out and buy the product. It's not how it works much anymore. Like I said, when we talk about people having the time back, when we talk about people having the power back, you sort of got to build that awareness with customers over time, and that's what social media offers you. But you don't have to use everything at one time. Remember that. Whatever works for you, you need to decide that for yourself. You might just use one. You might use all of them. Again, restraints, goals, audience, all that plays a big role. But you definitely need to start with Facebook. If you don't have a Facebook page, you have to get a Facebook page. And the reason for that is because this is one of the first things people do these days. They see if you have a website. If you don't have a website, you have to have a website. They see if you have a website, and then they see if you have a Facebook page. Those are the first two things they do when they hear about a new business. If you don't have either one of those things, you automatically lose values with customers. because you're not seen as modern. You're not seen as up to date. It looks like you're behind the curve, or you're missing something, or you're not paying attention, or whatever it is. Again, people are on Facebook. My generation especially, we're on Facebook. If we see someone who's not on Facebook, I don't want to buy from that business because they're obviously don't care enough to reach out to my demographic, my age group. So I don't have anything that there's no value in that for me. So definitely have a Facebook. Builds legitimacy with consumers on the other side. Again, think critically about your audience and goals. Don't assume that your audience isn't on social media. We hear this a lot, and it grinds our gears. People say, "Well, I'm not going to use social media because they're not on social media." And it's like, yes, they are. Everyone, like we've just seen, everybody is on social media. They may not be on Twitter, but they're probably on Facebook. Or they may not be on Instagram, but they may be on Pinterest. So research. Find out where your audience is. Look in to see who the people that are buying your product, the people that you want to connect with. Find out where they are. And then, of course, always talk to us. You can always talk to Tim, Chris, myself. We post blogs weekly about different social media sites. You can get more information about those there. But yes, please contact anytime. It is a lot of information. The thing is to find out your goals, find out your audience, find out what you want to use, and then start using it. So, questions? Anybody?
What's most popular with churches?
Facebook? I would say any of them. I mean, Facebook for sure, but any of them you could use.
It depends on who you're targeting as well.
Yeah, of course.
Like Snapchat for the youth, but not for the older portion of the congregation. Would be good. One of the things I wanted to mention, I'm just going to pop up here, and I'm Chris. One of the things I wanted to mention about Snapchat is like, I imagine you're all thinking, oh, I snap, I'm going to take a photo and what? What's going to happen? How can I monetize that? In what world is that useful for youth? For an event that we put on, the WideNet Summit for Wise Guys here who, thank you Wise Guys, we love you for the pizza. But one of the things we're working with them on is at the Oxford High School football games, we're going to be putting a filter on Snapchat, which means when any of these youths, or my mom's on Snapchat, of course I took her phone and put Snapchat on it for her, but when they go on there and they take a snap, they swipe over to look at filters. Well, one of the filters is going to say something along the lines of, great to be back to football, and have a picture of a piece of pizza and say, come see us at Wise Guys after the game. And then they snap a picture of themselves, or they snap a picture of them wearing a helmet that we designed. It's like a filter, so it looks like they have the mask on and all that. And it says, by Wise Guys at the bottom. And so they're seeing that name. They post it, all their friends see it. And it's a captured audience, because when you're on Snapchat, you know that they've watched your video, because it tells you. And if it says that 100 people have watched it, unlike with YouTube or Facebook or something, most likely they didn't watch just 1 or 2 seconds. They watched the entire thing. And then you've got that filter on there, and that's being sent to all of their friends. Okay, so filters are a great way to do it for events, for youth, and they're so cheap right now. For the WideNet Summit that we did, I think it was $20 for the entire day. If you were at the location, we did it at the Longleaf Botanical Gardens. If you were there and you sent a snap out using our filter, we had the filter for the entire day for $20. Same thing, you put a big circle around the stadium, you put a circle around the mall, you put it around a school. When these kids or these young adults are snapping, you put it around the university, they can see your filter. It's going to cost you $20. If you're a lawyer and you want to put it all the way down the interstate and have a funny jibe about, hey, why are you snapping right now? You shouldn't be texting and driving. If you happen to get in a wreck, call me. That would be fantastic. It costs you about $20 to run that forward a day. And
it's automatic.
What?
It's automatic when you're in the
yeah.
So if you're in the geofilter area, anybody who sends a snap it's popping up when they send it. That filter is popping up on their Snapchat.
Right, and they're all so used to swiping and using the filter. So that's one way of using Snapchat. I didn't want, because as he pointed out, I do love Snapchat, but it genuinely is how I consume ESPN. I don't watch the TV. I don't watch it on the internet. I watch all the highlights, Sports Center, everything through Snapchat, through the ESPN app. And Same with news. I've watched more news in the last year than I have in probably the last 10 years because I hate news. I like being happy, so I don't normally watch the news. But Instagram stealing that feature, also huge. Same line of thinking though with the stories. You can jump on there and see these stories, and you know you've got that captured attention. And you're not just seeing 50 people watched it when you see Snapchat and Instagram. You're seeing Susie Q watched it at this time. She watched it this many times, and then you see the names of the people watching it. You see the demographics of the people watching it, and that to me is not only interesting and fun, but very, very powerful when it comes to marketing. So you're not just throwing your money down the toilet.
So what happens if you want to, like, say you want to just keep that filter, or so I'm at Donna school. Our kids are on Snapchat, especially at the upper school. So what if we just wanted the Donna school filter for good?
Okay.
What does that look like?
Well, there are two types of filters. One is a paid, like a company-sponsored filter, and then the other is, and Tim or Erica might know, but I think it's like an artistic filter. Is something along those lines? Basically, like JSU has one, correct?
It's like a nonprofit community.
Yeah, it's a community filter. So it's a different type. There are basically two. One you pay for, one you don't, and you try to get it approved. Now we couldn't do one for WideNet, most likely, because we're a company. But for Donahoe, for Oxford High School, for the city of Oxford, you could draw a geo fence around the area and say, I'm an artist, and like we could have one of our designers come up with a filter and just say, from now on, if you're in Oxford, you should be able to swipe right or whatever, and it'll say Oxford, welcome to Oxford, Alabama, or I'm partying in Atlanta, because there's like 5 in Atlanta that you can choose from right away. But the same is definitely true for JSU. I think people up there noticed that, and I imagine the same would be true for a school in the area. Again, business is not so much, but you can definitely do it for government and whatnot.
Question about Facebook, you said that advertise on there.
Mhm.
The ads that pop up when, say, someone's looking at your Facebook page that you have for your company, are those specific that the company can filter through and say, I don't necessarily want this kind of ad, but I want this kind of ad? Or is it just based on that other person viewing your page that their profile is drawing those particular ads?
You have complete control over how the ads are published and what they say and everything. So in the and as a matter of fact, next month's wedding here we're going to talk about Facebook ads and Google AdWords and compare and contrast the two of them, and go a little bit more in depth on that. But with Facebook advertising, I mean, when you set up your ad account, you create your own image, you write the message on the ad, and then you have choices to put not just who it goes to, but where it appears. You can decide if you just want to do side ads. You can decide if you just want to do ads that pop up in the news feed. You can decide if you just want to do ads on Instagram. You can do all of them. So you have complete control over it. So you can say where it goes, who sees it. You can be as broad or as specific as you want to be in that respect.
Were you asking if they could see?
Well, I know, like, when
If they could
go,
hide
when
that?
I go to, say, the Weather Channel, the next thing you know, all these ads come up, like Walmart, Sam's Club, wherever I've been for the day. And I didn't know, like, when they went to my Facebook page, if I can kind of control that.
No.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that they're seeing my ad,
Mm-hmm.
or the ads I choose, say, why, I want to use local people as opposed to some, but it's based on their profile. Okay.
And you can choose. I mean, you can make sure that, like, if you just wanted to focus it on local people and just wanted to make sure only local people were seeing your ad, you can do that, but you can't filter out what they're seeing as well.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the things I like to talk about is how social media, everything that we do here, social media is, or literally anything you do marketing wise, it should drive people to one of 3 things: to your website, to call you, or to come into your store. And the reason for that is your website is the only true medium online that you control the experience top to bottom. So, for instance, like you were just saying, on Facebook, we have a lovely Facebook page. We like it. We do the posts, and we control what we put out there. But if you're on our page and you look to the right, there are ads. And we can't control that. And just 4 weeks ago, Facebook decided to change the way our Facebook page looked, right? There's nothing you can do about that. You don't control that space. So to only have Facebook instead of a website is crazy. You're putting all of your eggs in their basket. And yes, you can have a lot of success doing that, but day one that they change something or say you can no longer advertise. We just want it to be about fun. You're done. You've wasted all that time not driving people back to your website, not driving people to communicate, call, get in touch with you, and connect.
And if they're searching for a typical business like yours, Facebook is going to retarget them with other businesses like you.
Yeah.
So if you don't get them to get to your website, you have a good chance you lost
It's
them.
definitely a competitive atmosphere for sure.
It's like being in the bank and looking up at the TV, and if you're a Noble Bank and a Compass Bank commercial comes on, right? I mean, that's frustrating for Noble Bank, but they can't control it. It's the wrong
That
medium.
was where my question was going.
But why are some ads not approved on Facebook? Like, sometimes I've done an ad and I've done the boost, I've targeted my audience, and then it'll boost it at first, and then all of a sudden, it says not approved, and it kicks you off, and then
It just has, they just have advertising guidelines. You can, it should, if it ever does that, it'll give you a link that says click here to see our guidelines. The main one, probably one of the main reasons, because like as far as like the product wise, like I mean, unless there's things you're not allowed to sell. Obviously, adult oriented material is not going to fly. Anything with profanity, and then there's very specific ways that you have to target people. So it just kind of depends on what you're saying. But one of the biggest reasons could possibly be that your image has too many words in it. There's a rule, the 80-20 rule, where you have to be 80% image and only 20% text, which they've allowed a little bit of leeway with that recently. But for the most part, if your image has too much text in it, it'll deny it.
And
that's probably it, because
Yeah.
sometimes I've changed the photo and make it a bigger resolution, and all of a sudden it'll go back through.
Yeah,
they'll give you a grid
yeah, they
to
will.
do it, but if that grid splits this M, then that counts as 2 squares in that
See,
grid,
I haven't seen that grid.
even if it's just that much.
They
so
do.
then you have what we would do is scoot this over. All of a sudden, it's
Yeah,
improved.
that's what I'm saying. I can go back and
Yeah.
tweak it a little bit and put it back through, and it all of a sudden go through.
I don't know why, and maybe it's because I'm so used to the grid tool. Facebook, for whatever reason, just didn't make it very easy for people to know that tool existed. Can't tell you why. But if you just Google search Facebook grid tool, it'll pull it up, and then you can upload it. It would just be like I think it's a 4x8
Something like that.
grid, something
That's
like that.
probably what it is, but I can always tweak it and then it'll go right back through.
That's it, probably. Because for the most part, usually people aren't trying to do something over with their ads. They just know from the get-go not to do that. Most of the time, it's going to be that it's a problem with the image. So, but yeah.
And it does constantly change too, requirements and the rules, and it's nice to have somebody to talk to about that.
Yeah, it's always good to stay up to date. Like I said, they started allowing a little bit more leeway with like the grid. So like, if it's like 50-60% text, then they're gonna deny it. But if you're just barely over that 20% mark, they may not completely deny it, but they may limit the visibility of it, which in some ways could affect how you're spending your money. So you generally, best rule of thumb, always keeping that 20% rule. That's the safest way to go about it. So, any other questions about anything? I was gonna say one thing you asked about churches. I mean, Snapchat definitely, Instagram definitely, but I mean, consider Twitter in a way too. I mean, during sermon, I know you don't want to, you're not supposed to just like be on your phone during church, but I mean, before, after, during some point, consider, if you got somebody making really good points, really good soundbite, really good point about a particular verse, something like that, you could tweet that. Tweet these little sound bites and excerpts out there to people. You could use Instagram to send out photos and videos of worship services and things of that nature to show people, what's going on, and get people, very inviting atmosphere. There's a way to use pretty much all of them. So, there's no other questions. Thank you guys so much. Again, if you have any questions about maybe some of the best ways you can use these social media profiles or want to know something like that, talk to Tim, talk to myself. Again, next month we're going to do Facebook advertising. So if you're curious about how you can use Facebook ads, they're one of my favorite things out there. We're going to talk about that and also compare those with Google advertising and talk about the many ways you can use those to get your products and services out there. So thank you guys so much for coming out. We really appreciate it.